Okay guys, welcome back to the table and to a brand new video. In today's video we're going to be drawing a Japanese style snake and peony design. I'm going to go ahead and take some rough sketch pad paper. This is just cheap sketch pad paper, nothing special. And we're going to be folding it in half. It's A3 in size. So I'll fold it in half to give us an A4 size paper. You can go ahead and just use A4 size paper. I didn't have any laying around. And as usual, we'll be starting off with the mechanical pencil in a 0.5 lead thickness. Okay, so to start putting in the head shape for this one, you're going to go ahead and draw an oval. Like that. That will be the portion for the back of the head. In front of this, you're going to draw a smaller oval. And then coming from that smaller oval, the front portion of it, you're going to draw a teardrop shape that cuts through the back oval. Just like that. Just above this, the point of the teardrop shape here, you're going to draw a circle in. That circle will give you placement for your eye. And then just above that, you're going to do a reverse teardrop, so the opposite shape to the one that we just did, and it's going to be a bit smaller as well. To connect the two ovals, you're just going to do a line that comes around the contour of the first oval, dips in just a little bit where we have that sort of joining point, and then comes back out into the second oval there. The front of this, just in front of the eye, you can put in a rough sort of shape for your tongue. In this case, we're going to come down and forward, and then splitting it off into two. So from here, I just want to put in the shape for our peony, because the body's going to be interacting with it somewhat. So just underneath the head here, we're going to do a big circle like this, and that's going to give us the space for our sort of outer petals, our unfolding petals. And in the very center of this, you're just going to do a smaller circle that's going to give us the inside of the peony. I've done a previous tutorial on drawing peonies, so I'll leave a link for that in the description down below. But in this case, we're going to be doing a really simple peony flower, so I can show you how to do that in today's video. Now, to draw in the segments for our body, we're going to be using a spiral sort of shape. So we're basically going to start at the back of the head here, and you're basically going to draw like a slinky and bring them around more. And this is general way of sort of getting the shape of the body. You can go ahead and play around with this until you're happy with the shape of the design. To put in the shape at the bottom here for our tail, we're going to go ahead and follow a line from the top half of our body that comes around. Let's start our spiral again, and in this case it's going to come down towards the bottom of the page, so the spiral gets tighter, so it's wide, about the same width as what we did up here, and it gets smaller or tighter and tighter until it ends at a point, and this will give you the tail for the snake. Now, when I'm drawing snake bodies, or dragon bodies for that matter, I find it helpful to put in a spine. So basically we're going to come off the back of the head here and draw a line that comes up, around, and back down, and on the bottom portion of the snake, it's pretty much going to be this back line, and then it's going to come around to the front like that. Once you've drawn the spine in, it then becomes quite easy to see where you need to draw the belly and the sort of flat lines in. So the outside of the snake here is going to be flat, so just come around following your spiral shape for the shape of our snake, just like this. Coming up from underneath the head here, we're going to see a little bit of belly. So we'll just do these little curves for now, just to illustrate that. And then as we see more spine, the belly disappears behind the body. For the portion that's on the bottom here, the spine is actually behind our curves here, and then it comes around into the front. So we'd see quite a bit of belly coming across the front here, and it would shrink down and almost disappear behind the tail as it comes down to the bottom. like that. So then the belly portion will be here. So we just draw in these 2 lines for the tracks. Put in a center sort of line. And then I'm just going to do these little curves that sort of dip in at that center line. And then as the center line disappears, that dip disappears and we go back to doing the curves that we did at the top of the snake head. A nice way to finish up a snake body, if you don't choose to do scales or you don't want to do scales, is to just do some pattern work. So in this case, I'm going to do these jelly bean, peanut shaped sort of patterns on the body. You see this a lot with traditional Japanese designs and even some old school American traditional style designs. It's basically like a big stretched out W, and then you're just doubling up on those lines to give you your pattern. Okay, drawing in the actual face for our snake, we're going to bring a line down from the front like this. Follow the shape of our first oval, dipping in, and then dipping back down, following the shape of the second oval. And at the very back of this, we just put in a little peak to give us a tooth. And you can do a couple more teeth coming forward if you'd like. Now this teardrop shape that we did, we're going to follow along that with these small curves. They're basically like little scales that just follow the contour of the face there. You bring that all the way around, and you can double up on that as well if you'd like, just to give you a second sort of layer of detail there. The eye we're basically going to leave as is, just as a little circle. We can add a pupil, add a few lines behind the eye there just to give it some detail. And we'll strengthen that teardrop shape because we're going to do a bit of plating on the head here. So to do that, we're going to come out from here, dip in a little bit, and then just follow the shape of the head around. Coming from sort of the back of the teardrop shape here, we can bring another line that comes around, just a smooth curve. And then from underneath it, we can join that back up. And then from the other side of this line here, we're going to copy the top line of our teardrop shape, bring it sharply back, and then join it up with a little curve like that. Now to join up the very front of the mouth here, we can just do some little curves that look like scales and that join up into these little curved lines that we did up here. If you'd like to at this point, you can put in some little ovals for nostrils as well. Our tongue is going to be really simple. Basically just going to double up on those lines that we did and taper them down. Really simple, not much to it. Doubling up on the lines and just tapering down to a tip on each of the sort of forks, or each of the part of the fork. Okay, drawing in our flower, we're going to do a really simple peony for this one. Taking our center circle there, using it as a guideline. We're going to come up from this sort of center point here with a smooth line that comes up, forms a little loop at the end, then comes up again, and just comes all the way around to join itself. We'll do a similar thing on the other side. We'll come up, drop in a loop, a bigger curve, and then a small curve on the outside before joining it back up. In the middle of this, we'll do the same sort of thing. You're basically just doing the ends of the petals, almost like you'd do clouds. Just doing bumps at the ends of the petals. This is a really simplified version of a peony, but I think it can look really nice if you're doing a design like this. We'll bring a line up and around, following our circle shape. Drawing our curves, that petal's sort of facing this way. Bring another line up and around. Do a very similar shape on that side. And and you can sort of just close it off with a curved line across the top and a couple of bumps in the middle. And then in the bigger gaps you can add these bumps as well. Okay, and that'll give you sort of the folded up, bunched up petal shapes in the middle of the flower. To draw the petals that are unfolded, from the center basically you're going to come out with a curved line like this. Don't be afraid to overlap your body a little bit, that'll happen. Put in a curve, a bigger curve, and then join it back to the main sort of body of the flower. And then where you do this curve that comes in like this, we're just going to drop in a nice fold over, which is basically like if you've got a curved line that goes like this, your fold over is going to come from the end and taper in like that. So if that's your petal shape, this part is like folded over on itself. And you're basically going to go around adding in as many petal shapes as you'd like. They don't all have to have foldovers, but you can go ahead and put foldovers on some of them if you'd like as well. I think it's a nice little bit of detail. And like I said, this is a really simple way of drawing a peony. So if anyone was having trouble with the peony tutorial, or wasn't happy with how it was coming out, give this one a go. It's a far simpler sort of design, but it's based on very similar principles. When it comes to drawing the other peony, this can be used as a good practice point for that one as well. Now for each petal of your peony, you just want to do some lines following the contour of each petal. So this petal is sweeping up this way, so I just want to do some curved lines that follow the contour of that petal. If the petal's straight, the lines will be relatively straight as well. And these contour lines will help give it shape, will help give it a little bit of direction and movement even without color and shading, but it'll also give you a little bit more detail to your drawing. Okay, time to drop in some really simple leaves. Just coming in from behind here, we'll do a line that comes straight out, and we'll split that off into 3 lines, and we'll draw in a real basic leaf shape here like this. That's going to split off into a smaller leaf shape on one side and a smaller leaf shape on the other side as well. That's basic, like real basic how to draw peony leaves, and we're going to do that for all of the leaves. And again, you can add as many or as few leaves as you would like. Okay, so we've got our snake and peony flower roughly sketched out and pretty much ready for the lining phase. And I'm going to go ahead and add in one last thing just around this area here, and that's going to be a little cloud pattern, which I did show you how to draw these clouds in the last Kitsune series that I did, in the tutorial series I did. Go check that out if you haven't already. I will leave a link in the description for that one as well. But I'm basically going to do a row of clouds that comes around the top there, and that's just sort of finish the design off and bring it all together. Just leaves it looking a little less spread out. Okay, so we're ready to ink our design. I've got the original sketch that we did here, and I've cut out a piece of A4 watercolor paper. This is Fabriano cold press watercolor paper, 300 GSM. It's what I've been using in all of my videos as of late, and this is an A3 size. You can buy it in an A4 size, but I just find it more versatile to buy it in a bigger size and trim it down as I need. So this has just been cut out of an A3 sheet, which is just in half, and we're going to go ahead and pop our design behind it. Switch on our light pad so that we can see our design through the paper, and then we can go ahead and take masking tape and tape at the top and the bottom to hold our design in place. Gone ahead and taped our sketch onto the back of our A4 watercolor paper here. If I switch on the light pad, you can now see the sketch through the back of our watercolor paper there, and we're going to be lining this now. So to line this one, I'll be using my Artline drawing system fine liners. You can use any pigment liners that you have as long as they are waterproof. And I'm also going to be using a Staedtler pigment liner in a 1.2 thickness. Now, I've shown you guys how to outline a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to go through the entire process. You're basically just tracing your design and boosting up lines where you want to make things stand out a little bit more. So I'll probably use the 1.2 thickness around the edges of a lot of the design to help it pop out a bit more. And I might use a 0.8 thickness nib for a lot of the smaller parts of the design. So I'm going to go ahead and line this one now, and then we can get to the next part. Alright, so as you can see, I finished the outline for this one. I ended up using the 1.2 Staedtler for most of the thick outline portions of this, and then I went in with a 0.8 and did all of these small lines. Now in the center of the flower I did these little curves, and the purpose of this was just to put some like stamens on the inside of the flower there. I didn't want to go too complicated. This is like a beginner style design, that's why I've done a very simple flower. So just some simple little curves in the middle there for a nice simple design. Okay, to go ahead and start painting this, I've got my 6-well palette with a little bit of my carbon black from Liquitex. I've just dropped that in there. I've also got a glass of water and my 2 brushes. So I've got my ink brush and my blending brush. The ink brush has a slightly finer tip on it for a little bit more control, and this one has a slightly more wide application so that I can blend out some nice big smooth areas. So I'm going to start by showing you how to shade the body of the snake here. We're going to go ahead and take our carbon black, load our brush up nicely, and basically work around the pattern work that we did on the snake. But I want to leave a little bit at the bottom there without black. Okay, so come around it like that, and then take your blending brush, get a bit of water on it, and you're going to blend that black down towards the belly of the snake. Okay, so a nice simple way to explain this is you're basically doing black off the spine and you're coming down to a light grey towards the belly, which means inside the pattern will be solid black. So you can go ahead, take your black and do the inside of your pattern work, just solid black. And that will follow along the spine of the snake. Okay, once you have come down one side of the spine and done that black shading, and of course the solid black on the inside of your pattern work, you can go ahead and follow along the other side of the spine, doing the exact same thing. So just coming along with your black, and then with your blending brush, just blending that out to a grey. And you're going to be doing this along the entire spine on the other side as well. Last bit of black shading I want to do on the snake itself is in the head. I don't want to do too much black shading because it's such a small design. I'm going to do a little bit of black shading just underneath this sort of top portion of the head there, the scales, all the plating on top of the head, and just blend that in to a nice grey there. Okay, now I did say I wanted to keep this one super simple, so for our leaves we're going to do a very simple black shading. It's not going to be complicated at all. We're going to go ahead and load up our brush with some black, come in from the bottom of the leaf on a slight angle, and then take our brush and just blend our shading forward like this, nice and smooth, up into a light grey, and then blending that out to a white. That's how we're going to shade all of the leaves. It seems super simple, and it certainly is, but it can still have a really nice effect, and I encourage you guys to try this out. It's not always important to do the most complicated design with the most black shading you can possibly do. Sometimes it's nice to just do something really simple with really bold sort of basic shading. I think we can still get a really nice result from this style of painting. Okay, and that is it for the black shading. Yes, that's right. That's all of the black shading for this one. We're going to go ahead and jump straight into colors. I'm going to be using our yellow orange from the Liquitex range. This will be similar to a deep orange if you're working with your eco line markers. We're going to go ahead and pop that in our palette. And make sure you wash your brushes out in between colors. We're going to need to go ahead and make an orange shortly as well. So I'm going to use that yellow first and then mix a little bit of red into it later. Okay, first things first, we're going to take our yellow and do the inside of our flower with it. Just solid yellow across the stamens there. No fancy blending or shading going on in the middle. Now I also want to use a little bit of yellow in the pattern work that we've done on the back there. You're going to do a little bit of yellow at the end of your pattern, just there. And then taking a bit of water, you're just going to blend that back into white, going towards the back of your pattern. And then you can go ahead and start at the back of your pattern work, doing the same thing. A little bit of yellow. And gently blending it forward with your blending brush, leaving that little bit of white in the middle as like a sheen or a highlight. Blending it back again towards the middle, gradually getting it to go white. And then, like I said, the same thing from the back forward. Just blending it out from yellow to white, and you're going to do that for all of the pattern work along your snake. Okay, once you've done all of the pattern work on your snake, we're going to go ahead and mix an orange. So just taking a bit of Pyrrole Red from the Liquitex range, I'm going to add a drop to start with, and we'll just mix that together to give us our orange color. It's probably a little too dark, so I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. Few drops of yellow, and you basically just play around with the colors until you achieve an orange that you like. So what are we using this orange for? We're going to basically use it to paint the scales around the mouth and the scales along the belly, and the way you're going to do that is basically paint them in as normal, but just leaving a little white ring around each of the scales, and you're going to do that for every single scale on the belly and around the mouth, just making sure to leave that little white ring, and that's going to be your skin gap. Okay, once you've painted in your orange scales, we're going to move on to the body of the snake. We're going to go ahead and take our sap green, drop a bit of that into our palette here, and I'm going to add a drop of yellow to that as well. A couple of drops of yellow just to brighten it up a little bit so it's not such a dark green. Now this part's nice and easy. There's no blending per se. You're basically just taking that green that we just made up and going straight over the top of your black and down into your white. Now the gradient in the darkness of the color is created by overlaying our dark gray there. So the black underneath and the gray underneath our green is what's going to give us our darker tone, and the white underneath the green is what's going to give us our lighter tone. So there's no need to do any blending in this part of the painting. So now all you're doing is basically layering that green that you made over the top of your black and your gray. The black and the gray underneath the green makes up for the value change, so that you get a nice transition from a dark, really dark, almost black, to a dark green, to a lighter green, and then to the lightest tone of that color going over the white. It helps that the Liquitex inks are sort of translucent, because it means you can overlay the colors in this way. They don't muddy themselves up, and you get really nice blends over the top of each other. The front of the head here is pretty simple. You're basically going to bring that green down in front of the eye a little bit, and then you will take your blending brush and do a little bit of blending just to lighten that green up before it hits the edge of the mouth. To do the plates on top of the head, you can use multiple different colors for this. We're going to go ahead and use Pyrrole Red on its own. So just dropping a bit of Pyrrole Red into your palette, clean our brush off, and you're going to paint these the exact same way that you painted the belly scales. You're basically going to go in, making sure to leave a white border around them, and otherwise they're going to be solid color. Just like that. And you're going to do that for all of the scales that are on top of the head. Okay, take that Pyrrole red that we just got out, do a little bit behind your eye here as well, and just paint your tongue in with the Pyrrole red as well. Solid red. You could do a little bit of shading here if you wanted to. In this case, I'll just do it solid red. Okay, as you can see, our snake design is really coming together. We're going to go ahead and paint the flower now. So we have that Pyrrole red that we used. We're just going to add a drop of titanium white to it. Liquitex titanium white. This is going to give us a pink tone that we're going to use to paint our flower. So in painting the outside petals, I want to come down from the back like this, coming forward. Then take my blending brush and just start to blend that pink a little bit as it comes towards the edge there. Coming from the back of the petal here towards the front. And then blending it forward. You want to go ahead and do this for all of the closed off portions of the petal as well, because that will look the same as the outside of the flower and any foldovers. So you can take your pink and straight over the top of your line work. It'll show through anyways. And then take your blending brush and you can just gently blend that pink up to a white or a very light pink towards the top edge. Okay, so I've done the outside of the flower using our pink color there. I'm going to go ahead and add a drop of yellow to our pink, and we're just going to mix that in. And I might go ahead and add another drop of white as well. Another couple of drops of white. And mix that through. This will give us a much lighter tone, and because we've added that yellow, it'll have a little bit more of a peach tone to it, and we're going to use that for the inside of the flower. There's no special technique for doing this either. You're basically doing the exact same thing we did for the outside of the flower by doing our new color on the inside of the flower here, coming towards the outside of the petals, and then take your blending brush and blend that color out towards the edges. I like to leave a fair amount of white around the edges. So next up, we're going to go ahead and paint the leaves of our flower. I've added a bit more yellow to our sap green to give it a even lighter tone. And we're going to go ahead and use this to paint our leaves. So basically just coming from your black areas out towards the tip of your leaves with this green. Should be a nice vibrant green if you've added enough yellow to it. And in this case, I'm not doing any fancy shading, we're doing solid green. And again, that black and grey underneath our green will create a nice transition from a dark tone to a nice light tone. Gives us that change in value and makes things look shaded. Okay, last little bit we're going to do is a bit of shading in the clouds at the top there. You're going to take some of your black and just apply it to the well next to it. Take a little water dropper and just add some water to dilute it. This way it is like a light grey sort of tone. And I'm going to apply this directly using my blending brush so that we get a nice wide coverage. But you're basically going to take that light grey, come in on each cloud, or each part of the cloud, and paint it in, just leaving a little white ring around it, and then blending that grey down. So just come around the top like this, leaving a little white ring. And then blending the grey down with a little bit of water. And you're doing this for all of the little bumps and curves that come around the top of your cloud here. Okay, last thing to do is to go ahead and sign your artwork. So I sign mine in the bottom corner down here. And just like that, we're finished. That is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, leave a comment in the comment section down below, letting me know if you liked it and what you'd like to see in the next video or in an upcoming video, whether that's art challenges, more vlog style videos, or more like large scale tutorial videos, and leave your requests down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up while you're at it. Make sure to head over to Facebook at Daggett Designs to see my online portfolio and any upcoming work that I have. I post my updates there pretty regularly. And, you know, feel free to flick me a DM if you want to send me some of your artwork. I'd love to see your drawings and painting. Okay, unfortunately, guys, I do have some sad news to end this video. Unfortunately, this is the end. I will no longer be posting videos on Thursdays because my new schedule requires me to post videos on Fridays. So from now on, my videos will come out on a Friday and not on a Thursday. So just keep that in mind when you're waiting for a new video, and you know, make sure to hit that notification bell if you are subscribed. That way you get notified when my videos come out and you don't have to try to remember the day. That having been said, if you are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a video every time a new one comes out. And that's it, guys. So keep drawing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.